Hey guys, it's Sagar, and in this video I'm going to do a quick unboxing of the iPhone 16 and we are going to take our first look at it. I'm finally glad that Apple gave us some bright and fun colors for the iPhone 16 lineup. I was not a big fan of the pastel colors on the iPhone 15 and I'm really glad that we now have some saturated colors to choose from. It comes in 5 different color options. Ultramarine, which is blue and the one that I went with. Next is teal color, which I feel is my second favorite. Then there is pink, which looks funky but is not for me. We then get the white color back, which was missing from the iPhone 15. And finally we have black, which is the only color carried forward from the iPhone 15. Coming to the price, this iPhone 16 still starts at $79,900 for 128GB storage, which is the same starting price at which the iPhone 15, 14, 13 and even the iPhone 12 were launched at. There are also 256 and 512GB storage options, which will set you back 89,900 and 1,09,900 rupees respectively. This is what the Indian retail box looks like. There is a nice picture of the phone's back on the front of the box and the usual set of information behind the box. And as you can see here, the box mentions that country of origin of this phone is India. We get these tabs at the back, and once we tear them off and lift the lid, we have this beautiful looking ultramarine iPhone 16 sitting at the top. It looks even better in real life than in renders. It gets a frosted matte finish on the back glass, and this looks so much better than the glossy glass that we got on the regular iPhones before the iPhone 15. Next in the box, we have the braided cable with USB Type-C port at both the ends. It's now packed in this oval shape instead of a circle like on previous iPhones. Lastly, we have the SIM tray ejection pin, because outside of US, all the iPhones still have a physical SIM tray, which I feel is much more convenient. Then there are some leaflets with this new shape and it has warranty and regulatory information, and that's it. There are no Apple stickers in the box. Now this seems like they are taking it a bit too far in the name of protecting the environment. I know this is too harsh of a reaction just for not getting a single Apple sticker in the box, but as someone who has been collecting them since 2010, this just makes me sad and it feels like end of an era. Alright, so let's remove the protective covering from the display of this blue iPhone 16 and take a better look at it. From the first look, nothing much seems to have changed compared to the last year's iPhone 15. You still get flat sides with slightly rounded corners. There's still a dynamic highlight at the front, and if you look at the iPhone 15 and 16 side by side, then they look pretty much similar. Well, at least from the front. At the back, the placement of the cameras is now a bit different compared to the last few years. The two cameras on the iPhone 16 are now placed in vertical orientation. This is not new, as we have seen this before on the iPhone 10, 10s, 11 and even on the iPhone 12, but I still like this new look. I feel this new orientation of the cameras paired with the new colors make the back of this iPhone 16 look a bit bold. We have a couple of more changes on the outside which separates this phone from the iPhone 15 or any of the other regular iPhones from before that. First is the addition of the action button above the volume buttons, as we saw on the Pro iPhones last year. This is a customizable action button and you can program it to do certain specific things or assign various shortcuts to it. This action button now replaces the mute switch. Now, as much as I like the addition of a new customizable button to the phone, I've actually had this on the iPhone 15 Pro for about an year, and because of its placement being slightly out of the reach of my fingers to naturally reach, I didn't really end up using it all that much. I feel it would have been much more useful if it was placed below the volume buttons or below the power or the sleep wake button on the right side. Speaking of the right side, we have a brand new button for the camera controls on this side as well. This time, Apple has introduced the camera control on all iPhone 16s and 16 Pros together, and I think this is the first time that they might have done something like this. Usually, we get some new hardware or software features on the Pro iPhones first, and then Apple gradually trickles them down to the non-Pro iPhones year after year. But this time they did not do that with the capture button, which I think takes the iPhone 16 much closer to the Pro iPhones than any of its predecessors. Now the camera control is actually a very shallow button, and actual feedback of the press is simulated with the haptic motor inside this phone. It's a two-way press button, so you can press it lightly for certain actions and it needs a deeper press for certain other actions. It's like a force touch trackpad on a MacBook. If you have ever tried that, you will know how this one works. And it even has a sapphire covered capacitive surface, so if you move your fingers up or down along it, it will let you control certain things. It's a cool new interface, but it might take a bit getting used to. And I'm going to be talking about what all this capture button can do in a separate video. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe button if you want to see that. The other ports and buttons on this phone remain the same as the iPhone 15. There are volume up and down buttons on the left side just below the action button. Then there's the SIM card tray below that for a physical nano SIM card. Power or the sleep wake button is on the right side, and at the bottom we have the speaker grill, a microphone and a USB Type-C port for charging and data transfer. So that is the new iPhone 16 for you, and these were all of the new external changes that it brings along. Now something that hasn't changed compared to the last year's iPhone 15 is the display. It's the exact same one. It does get a new generation of ceramic shield glass protection at the front, and Apple says it's 50% tougher than before, but as you know, I am not going to be the one to test that. The rest of the display of this phone is the exact same as the last year's iPhone. So the resolution stays at 2556 by 1179 pixels, which is 460 pixels per inch. It gets up to 1600 nits of peak brightness while watching HDR content and up to 2000 nits of peak brightness when you're outside under direct sunlight. And the typical sustained brightness level is at 1000 nits for your everyday standard situations. Something that is new on this iPhone 16 is that now its brightness can go down to 1 nit for extremely dim lighting conditions. And sadly, the refresh rate still stays at 60Hz, so the ProMotion support is still only limited for Pro iPhones. This is obviously not as big of a deal as some of the viral videos, shorts and reels would want you to believe, and 60Hz on this phone or any of the other iPhone for that matter feels extremely smooth. But I also feel that it is well past the time that Apple should have started giving us high refresh rate displays in these 80,000 rupees smartphones. Yes, most average users don't care or can't tell a difference, or probably they won't even be switching to the high refresh rate from within the settings. But Apple, please give them the option to choose and let them decide. Don't make the choice for them. For the internals, this iPhone 16 packs in a brand new A18 processor which is built on TSMC's 2nd generation 3nm architecture. Going from a 2 generations older A16 Bionic to the latest generation A18 is actually a big jump for this iPhone 16. It also gets 8GB of RAM up from 6GB on the iPhone 15. This means we are going to see a significant boost in its performance compared to last year, which we don't normally see year over year. And more importantly, thanks to the better efficiency and thermal management of these internals and slightly bigger battery capacity, Apple says that we will be getting a big improvement in terms of battery life. Apple never talks about the capacity of the battery on their phone, but on their comparisons page, they say that the 16 should get 2 extra hours of video playback than the iPhone 15, which if true would be a pretty significant bump. For charging, Apple has bumped up the wireless charging speed to 25 watts if you use their newer MagSafe wireless charger and a compatible power brick, which is much faster than the previous wireless charging speed which was capped at 15 watts. They did not mention anything about the increase in the rate of wired charging speed, but some people have found out regulatory filings from Apple which suggest that these phones could be charging at a max speed of 45 watt. This would be great if it is true. It is running iOS 18 out of the box, which brings along some great new features like the ability to finally rearrange the app icons however you want on your home screen, along with some other advanced customization options. You also get locked and hidden apps, redesigned control center, and they now even let you change the apps on the lock screen. This is something that we have been asking for so long. We also get some big changes to the Photos app and a lot more. Oh yes, these phones were also supposed to bring along the whole bunch of new Apple Intelligence features, which Apple has been talking about non-stop since WWDC, like super intelligent Siri which can finally do a lot more, new writing tools which will assist you in your penmanship, and now you can even create animojis, emojis and completely new images with just text prompts and a lot more. But guess what, that is not here yet, and Apple says we will be getting those features in future software updates like iOS 18.1 and 18.2. So right now iOS 18 on this phone is just like iOS 18 on any other phone like the iPhone 15, 14 or 13. And that is the reason I am not going to talk about Apple Intelligence anymore in this video. We will talk about it, but when it gets here. Now we come to the cameras. The rear main camera gets a 48 megapixel sensor with f1.6 aperture and a 26mm lens just like the iPhone 15. It is not a new camera as Apple made it look like in their keynote event. But paired with the image signal processor on the A18 chip, I am sure we will see some separation between the images from it and the iPhone 15 when we look at the images. That reminds me, I am also working on a very detailed camera comparison between the iPhone 16, 15 and 14 and its comparison with a few other phones which will be hitting the channel very soon. So make sure you have the notifications for this channel turned on. The ultra-wide camera on this phone does get a few cool upgrades. The resolution is still 12 megapixels, but it is a completely new sensor with a wider f2.2 aperture and autofocusing capabilities. This means it will take sharper ultra-wide angle shots, and more importantly, this camera now also allows you to take macro shots. So the whole camera array on the back of this phone gets a host of new features, some in the form of hardware and others in the form of software features. And yes, the new capture button unlocks a completely new way of interacting with your camera app. By the way, Apple is not the first one to have a dedicated camera shutter button. Sony Xperia phones have it right now, and Nokia also used to put it on most of their phones back in the day. I've used the Nokia N8, N73 and 85 and all of them had a camera button which would focus on half press and take a picture on a deeper press. That being said, Apple's implementation is interesting as well. You can press this button to open the camera app, and with another press you can start taking pictures. A deeper press on the same button and you can start recording videos. This feels really cool, but how easy and convenient or useful it would be in real world usage, that I can only tell you guys after having tested it a lot in the next few days. This capture button has a sapphire cover and a touch sensor under it, so I think Apple missed out on the golden opportunity of putting a fingerprint sensor over there. Maybe next time they are going to do it with the power button. With all of that, if you think about it, This regular non-Pro iPhone 16 is last year's iPhone 15 Pro minus the titanium frame, 120Hz refresh rate and the third 3x telephoto lens. It even gets the new capture button which even the iPhone 15 Pro doesn't have, and it will also be getting all the new Apple Intelligence features in the upcoming software updates as well. You also get the 2x lossless zoom mode in the main camera and the new macro mode on the ultra-wide angle lens. So all of this brings it even more closer to the last year's and in a lot of ways this year's Pro iPhones as well. I don't think everyone understands how significant this is. I'm especially talking about Indian market. Last year, the iPhone 15 Pro started at 1,34,900 rupees, and with the iPhone 16, you can get 95% of those features and a bit more in a much lighter package and at a starting price of 79,900 rupees. If you really think about it, you're actually getting the iPhone 15 Pro at 50,000 rupees less. And I think that makes this the best non-Pro iPhone that Apple has given us in quite some time. Now, is it worth the upgrade from the iPhone 15, 14, 13 or even the 11? Well, I have a few dedicated videos coming up that will answer all these questions. And as I mentioned earlier, I am also already working on a very detailed camera review of this phone and its comparison with a few others as you are watching this video. So there are going to be a lot of videos coming out for you guys in the next few days and weeks. Until then, if you want to get the iPhone 16, I will really appreciate if you get it from the affiliate links in the description section. That is it for this video guys. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed this video and subscribe to the channel for a lot more coverage on the iPhone 16. You can also check out some of the other videos from this channel. This has been Sagar and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care.